obviously way scarier for you, but I've never been on a Zoom that involved an earthquake before.
Nah.
Yeah, you are confirmed the first guest of this podcast that it has ever been mid-earthquake on the show.
And hopefully the last.
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
Video people, you'll see our faces are wet because we just made the mistake of watching a Norm Macdonald clip before recording the old cast, and now we got shit all over our faces from crying.
No way to psych yourself up for a podcast in which you're hoping to be funny than by watching Norm Macdonald and realizing that, boy, nothing you ever do will ever be funnier than the least funny moment of that guy's life.
Yeah, but what I like about Norm, we're paying tribute to the late Norm Macdonald, I guess, second week in a row. Norm is like, for weirdos like us, Norm Macdonald is hope, because he would go on Conan, say something that Conan was like playing the like angry person who didn't get the joke. Like Conan appreciated,
The
like,
straight man.
this is hilarious.
Yeah.
But Norm was very much the like, I care more about the joke than I care about you. So like, if you don't find this funny, whatever, it's joke time, baby. So like that's like a win for all the weirdos who will throw shit out there that people will be like, well, that was fucking weird. And it's like, yeah, well, so was Norm Macdonald. So score, we're as funny as Norm Macdonald is basically what I'm saying. We have to do your StubHub story.
Yeah, I've been, boy, that
Sitting
has
on this one.
really dominated the last week of my life.
We hadn't done phone calls in a minute, and that was a saga. That was like,
I
we
had to
were doing
update
phone
you
calls.
via phone
Yeah.
call. So if anybody follows me on Twitter, you saw on Friday into Saturday, I waged war against StubHub because StubHub waged war against me to begin with. I bought tickets last week to a Leon Bridges concert, and come to find out, somebody was trying to scam me on StubHub. So I bought them like probably on Tuesday, and then I went to go check my tickets on Thursday night before the show on Friday. I log into my account. It says the tickets have been delivered, but I can't access them. So I call StubHub trying to figure out what's going on. It takes me an hour and a half to get in connection with somebody at StubHub. They say, I finally get on the phone, tell them my problem. They're like, all right, we'll contact Ticketmaster because like the tickets are still going through Ticketmaster. We'll contact Ticketmaster. We'll force them to like reinitiate the transfer. So I wake up on Friday morning. I check my phone. It says, hey, your tickets have been delivered. And this was at 5 a.m. And then I see a follow-up email that says, your tickets have been canceled at 5:30 a.m. So it's clear to me at this point that I'm being scammed. That like whoever is selling these tickets is denying the tickets from actually going through, and they're pulling them back and keeping them for themselves. So I'm pissed off because I was planning to have a full day in Portland. The show was in Portland. I was planning on having a full day in Portland, 2 hours away, but I needed to resolve this ticket issue before I left because I wasn't going to drive 2 hours and then not get to go to the concert.
Right.
I called up StubHub at 8:30 in the morning. I don't think that I got on the phone with StubHub until close to 1 p.m. It was like 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours until I actually got on the phone with someone at StubHub, explained the situation. They were like, yeah, you're definitely being scammed. There's some funny business going on. Let's see what we can do. We'll try to like get you comparable tickets or something like that. So 4.5 hours later, the woman on the phone was nice enough. And I told the woman on the phone, I was like, listen, I'm and anybody who knows me knows that I'm non-confrontational. I don't like arguing, which is funny because we're going to talk to a guy later in this episode about like how everybody loves to argue.
Yeah.
And it's we'll talk to Dan Clark later. But so the issue, I was making it clear that I hate being nasty to customer service people because they're just trying to do their job.
The bad thing.
Right. And like this is not this woman's fault, but I'm pissed off already that it's 1 o'clock and I want to be in Portland by this time. I'm on the phone for 4.5 hours listening to the same goddamn hold music. StubHub needs to at least mix in a different song.
What song was it?
It's not like a real song. It's just a shitty hold music. And I'll tell you, the company's got to do less with hold music because I don't think that they're considering that like the person who's listening to this is listening to it on like a shitty iPhone
Yes.
speaker. There's like people, they're just trying to like throw in bells. They're trying to throw in like all these fancy things, and it's just ripping my ears apart. So 4.5 hours of that shitty hold music. Get on the phone with this lady. She's trying to help me, but she's also like, StubHub's not doing her any favors. So what ended up happening was she was like, okay, we can find you some comparable tickets, but you're going to have to pay the price that's listed on the website. And it was more money on the website. It was like I paid like $75 for the tickets. The tickets on the website were $100 at this point. So I would have had to pay $50 extra for 2 tickets. And I was like, there's absolutely no chance that's happening at this point. I've been on the phone for upwards of 5 hours now. It's not my fault that somebody via your platform scammed me and there was nothing that you could do about it, apparently. I'm not giving you more money. And she was like, there's nothing that we can really do. And I was like, I certainly don't believe that.
There is a million percent.
StubHub can absolutely cover a $50 difference.
Yes.
Don't tell me that there's nothing that you can do. So like she put me on hold a couple times so that she could talk to her manager and get it approved or whatever. She comes back this is probably like 25 minutes later. She comes back. She's like, okay, great news. I've convinced my manager that, or my manager has finally agreed to cover the difference. StubHub will, like, give you a $50 credit or whatever. And so she puts me back on hold, then comes back like 10 minutes later and is like, I have some really bad news. Because I initially canceled the order and like gave you a full refund in cash value, there's no way to go back in the system and like and sort of like undo that and then cover the cost through StubHub. So really your only course of action here is to buy the more expensive ones, and like there's nothing I can do from here. I'm very, very sorry. This is sort of like a user error on my end. And I was like, well, if it's user error on your end and you want me to go buy the more expensive tickets, why can't you just give me like a coupon code to shave off $50?
Exactly.
Why can't you give me a
can generate
$50
that in
credit?
1 second.
Right. Give me a $50 credit. All I'm asking for at this point is to break even so I can move on with my day, go to to Portland a couple hours later than I expected, go to the show. I'll be fine. Whatever. She's like, I'm sorry, there's absolutely nothing we can do. I was like, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. Put me in. I want to talk to your manager. Like, I hate pulling that move. I want to talk to your manager because I know that she's the one telling you that there's nothing they can do. Talk to the manager. Manager is awful. Awful. Just like totally. This woman before her was so friendly, so nice. I talked to the manager. The manager's like, nope, nothing I can do. Take it or leave it. And I was like, well, I'm letting you know that I'm going to go pay more money at a different website because I want to go to the concert still, and I'm not going to give you more money. I'm not going to give StubHub more money. Like 6 hours deep, it's clear that you have no regard for like your own clientele's happiness or whatever. So I hung up. I ended up buying tickets from TickPick.
Yeah.
Which TickPick slid in.
Swooping in on Twitter. Yeah.
TickPick saw that I had tweeted. So I had tweeted during the 6-hour saga that I was furious with StubHub because not only had I been on the phone on hold for 4.5 hours, I had also DM'd them on Thursday night. So this was the previous night. I had DM'd them. They sent me an automated response back. I gave them all the information that they had requested to look into my issue. No response. No response on Friday morning for like that entire 6 hours. So getting no help via online or on the phone. TickPick slides into my complaint about StubHub, and they're like, hey, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Would love it if you could give us a shot next time because we're a ticket company. We show you all the fees up front. So like what you see is what you're paying. And I was like, thank you, TickPick. I appreciate the response. You've responded to me before StubHub has. That's got to count for something. So listen, I'll go with you next time around. I get off the phone with StubHub, immediately go to TickPick, spend the exact same amount of money as I would have for the increased price on StubHub, get my tickets immediately, no issue. Go to Portland, go to Leon Bridges. It's a fantastic time. But like StubHub, straight up the worst customer service experience I've ever had in my life.
The important part, you left out the biggest part of the story.
Yeah. So as soon as I hang up with StubHub and I buy the tickets on TickPick, in my DMs after I had from the Thursday night message, hey, can I get some help here? While I was on hold on Friday, running out of patience, I sent a couple more DMs, literally just like 3 question marks, then another DM. Can I get some help here? And that was it. Got off the phone with StubHub around like 1:30 p.m., 2 p.m., whatever it was. 5 minutes after I get off the phone, StubHub DMs me back and is like, hey, sorry for the delay here. We're short on customer service people. Which I'm sure they are.
Definitely.
Like, I'm sure that StubHub took a big hit during the pandemic because nobody was going to shows and stuff. But at the same time, there's ways around customer service to keep people off the phone for fucking 6 hours and to like at least show the slightest bit of, hey, sorry for inconveniencing you.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna like play into the fucking we're short on people. Yeah, I'm sure you are, but fuck off. They send me a DM. They're like, hey, sorry for the wait, the inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. We see that this issue has been handled over the phone, but we'd like to make it good for you. We'd like to give you, we've already given you the refund. We're also going to give you 100% of like your original purchase in StubHub credit. So I got the money back and StubHub credit for the original price that I had paid. But the fact that they did that 5 minutes after I got off the phone with them, and they went to Twitter and saw like everything that had happened, and they weren't willing to give me a $50 credit on the phone, then immediately turned around and gave me a $200 credit on Twitter, tells me and everybody else exactly what they need to know, is that they're only doing that to save face because like
absolutely
here's somebody with a blue check mark, here's somebody with like over 100,000 Twitter followers, putting them on blast. It is absolutely like they would not have done that.
No, and you didn't want to take it to Twitter.
I hate being a brand complainer or like a business complainer.
And I was like, dude,
Twitter is not the Better Business Bureau.
That's not true. I'm sure. I was gonna say nobody likes to do that, but you have to get results. A lot of people like to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
But legitimately, you were going to get results that way. So
again, it was literally the worst customer service experience of my entire life, and like I had no other option. Like I wanted it to be resolved as soon as possible, and I thought that doing that would have gotten somebody to DM me quicker. Yeah, and I wouldn't have to spend more time on the phone.
But I mean, it goes to show you that they don't treat everybody the same, and there's no, which is why like when you were complaining about it and like trying to figure out what to do, it's like, dude, like there is one way to get it done. It's to use that blue check mark of yours and say what the hell is going on, and then they're going to see that you have a lot of Twitter followers, and they won't want to let you down, and they're going to want you to tweet like, oh, it's all it's all resolved, thank you, like Ticketmaster or StubHub. The issue is they'd already done this is how we treat people when we don't know that maybe they could say something mean about us on Twitter.
Right.
So that was
they already essentially told me to fuck off, and they told me to fuck off after 6 hours of my time.
Yeah.
So that's a double whammy. And yeah, I'm still pissed. And the fact that I sent out that tweet complaining about it also was enlightening because it showed me that this was not like a bad day for StubHub. It was not an isolated experience because there were like floods of horrible experiences. But like a lot of them were saying, a lot of the responses were like, StubHub used to be good. And this was, I should say, this was like the first really, really negative experience that I've ever had with StubHub, where like it couldn't have been resolved quickly. There was one time, like a handful of years ago, where I got Bruins tickets and I went to the game and somebody had already scanned the tickets.
Ooh.
But I just assumed that was like, that's not StubHub's fault. The person probably printed out their tickets,
Yeah.
sold them, and then like made sure to beat me there to the arena. Like whatever, that shit happens in the secondhand ticket market. Whatever. This was my first bad experience with StubHub, but it was so bad that I genuinely don't believe that I'm going to use that $200 in StubHub credit, because I just don't ever want to go through them. Like, God forbid I use the $200 in credit and I get scammed again and I have to get somebody on the phone. I'm not going to waste 6 hours of my life.
So that's where I haven't thought of anything yet, but that's where if you really want to stick it to StubHub, you've got to think of a way to use that credit to harm them or to help a competitor, such as TickPick. I believe you're going to be hearing some TickPick
TickPick.
ads at some point on this podcast.
TickPick, I'm a huge fan of. Not only because they got
They don't follow a lot of. I look when they tweeted you, and I was like, I don't know who TickPick is, and I clicked on the thing, and they followed me, and like they don't follow a lot of people. I think they were kind of like waiting for this moment.
Yeah, they DM'd me this morning, and they were like, "Hey, I don't want to like, I don't know, I don't want to like reveal their DMs, but they basically like DM'd me, and they were like, "Hey, this weekend was great. Thank you so much." Like,
yeah,
like they
awesome.
were appreciative that I kind of, I think gave them some publicity, but I responded. I was like, "No, thank you. You kind of fucking saved my life."
Yeah, you guys were nice.
And like, if I had one bad experience with your company, I might have like burned it to the ground because I was in such a fragile state after what StubHub did to me. So I appreciate you for running your business better than StubHub.
Yeah, let us know how we can use that StubHub credit to stick it to StubHub, because we don't have ideas yet.
And like, really, one of the biggest reasons that I sent out the tweet, it was twofold. I wanted some help, and two, kind of wanted to like at least provide like a cautionary flair to be like, hey, if you can go through another company and not have to have to deal with the customer service that is clearly shit at this company right now,
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So
We're-
yeah, that's the StubHub.
We're gonna figure out what to do with that credit. We also we got big things coming on the Patreon. Specifically, next week we're gonna start sprinkling something in. I don't want to give it away. We'll maybe reveal it early next week. It's $1 million idea. It's a very good. It's a very great idea. Right?
No offense to you.
Yeah.
You have a lot of ideas on the text chain that I'm like, yeah, this could work. This is a good idea. It's been a long time since you sent over a text that like,
it was a real home run.
yeah, that like caused me to immediately text back in all caps, being like, "Fuck yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah."
Let's do it. So
This is a great idea that I can't believe that I never thought of.
I know. I was surprised I hadn't thought of it. I was surprised somebody else hadn't thought of it yet. So we're going to start doing it. I don't know how often on Fridays, because it does take a little bit of work, but it's going to be like a grand, awesome thing. So watch out for that. That'll come next Friday. We could have done it this Friday, but I don't want to just like throw it together really quickly.
Yeah, I agree. And I did get a second opinion on whether this was a good idea. Not
Oh,
really.
I didn't ask around.
Not really because I needed a second
Yeah.
opinion. It was just because I was excited about the idea and I wanted to share it. So I told Ellen, and this was on the heels of me telling Ellen your previous idea, which was shared to me over the weekend. I think we can probably
Yeah, that was like
want to tease that one.
That was like a
It's a-
C+ idea.
A specific movie that's coming up, and what we're gonna do for that movie. The one that you are not.
I already tweeted that.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, I already tweeted that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, listeners been knowing about this. Yeah, we're gonna do Beer Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
We're gonna smoke some beers, and that won't be a Friday episode though.
No,
right?
that'll
be
be
a
next week, right? Because
right.
Dear Evan Hansen's coming out this week.
Right. So next week will be Beer Evan Hansen. So that's gonna be a big week for the podcast, because next week will be Beer Evan Hansen, and then the Friday will be the first one of these $1 million good idea. So patreon.com/listen to brunch. Get in there. This Friday will be the what's the movie that everyone wants to see?
Malignant.
Malignant.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that movie.
I
Apparently, it's crazy.
yeah. There's like a big twist or something, and there was specifically requested that we do that for a review. So I also want to see Cop Shop or Free Guy at some point this week. So
Yeah, you got to see free guy.
So maybe it'll be a double feature Patreon review this week on Friday. But I had
oh,
told.
I don't want to see Malignant. I'm reading this thing. Oh
yeah.
my god.
So like my idea for a double feature was basically to save you from having to see that movie because I knew that you probably wouldn't want to see it.
Oh my
And-
god.
and
Yeah,
we-
this seems like something that would horrify me.
Right. So but like, you should start seeing those movies because it'd be good for content. Or we could do the double feature where we both explain.
Yeah,
one to
something
each other.
involving Malignant will happen Friday.
Yeah.
But the point is, the Friday after, and sign up for Patreon now so you can get all of these things. But next Friday, if all goes according to plan, which it should, we will do the first one of this $1 million great idea that honestly is like this is a podcast type thing. It sounds like something that like a big podcast network would have this show on it.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, if you were told me like, oh, this has been on The Ringer for like 4 years and it's like the #3 podcast in the world,
I'd believe it.
I'd be like, yeah, and I somehow missed out because I'm dumb and I don't follow anything on the internet.
So $5 to join the Patreon, get the bonus episodes every single week. Patreon.com/listen-to-brunch. So I had originally told Ellen the Beer Evan Hansen idea. I was like, DJ's got a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about it. Beer Evan Hansen. And she's like, so you guys are just gonna get drunk and review Dear Evan Hansen? I was like, yeah.
Drink beer.
It's an
talk
awesome
about
idea. It's been
Dear
a
Evan
while since
Hansen.
we've done a drunk
Yeah.
episode, maybe since like Wine Actually, and that was one of our best episodes ever. So I'm excited about this idea, especially because DJ has strong feelings on Dear Evan Hansen.
Do I?
Yeah, I think that you generally have like an aversion to Dear Evan Hansen, or at least like Ben Platt's relationship with Dear Evan Hansen.
Well, somebody was telling me that like that Ben Platt was like a bad guy or something, or that like he was
like a silver spoon.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
His dad was like a big Broadway guy or whatever.
yeah, which like that doesn't like scare me away from Ben Platt. Who cares?
I have
But-
known nothing about it, so I'm excited.
But I don't have a big relationship with Dear Evan Hansen.
But
we'll see.
So basically, I'd said this idea. Ellen was like, "This is not a spectacular idea," and then like I was like, "DJ has another big idea," and she's like, "Is this one better than Beer Evan Hansen?" And I was like,
Oh.
"Yes," and told
With all due respect, please, Ellen.
Beer Evan Hansen is a good idea.
Yeah, like that is not a.
It's
like,
it's very much a Casey Musgraves idea, where like you come up with the name and then
yes,
build.
and then work your way backwards.
Yes, right.
That's how I came up with it. I
Oh,
saw. I was
really?
yes, I was at the movies. There was a trailer for Dear Evan Hansen, and I was like, Beer Evan Hansen.
Did you share your Casey Musgraves theory on the podcast yet?
Possibly. I don't think we talked about that album, did we?
No.
But it's not a theory. It's just 1,000% correct. Her most recent album, they came up with song titles and then
Worked backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just ended up with a lot of songs with kind of like
Camera roll.
corny choruses. Camera Roll's like the best song on that album, though.
But like it's like I should do a song called Camera Roll.
Yeah, I like Camera Roll. But
I-
that album's not very good.
It's pretty forgettable. Disappointing, I would say. But yeah, confirmed that Ellen was like, okay, that's an actually great idea. So
Yeah, well, what the fuck? What do I welcome not like you, Ellen, but like the world. What do I? All of my ideas have to be incredible. Nobody has good ideas.
no,
Nobody has good ideas.
especially now.
So if I have a good idea, it shouldn't be like, well, is this one actually a great idea? Like if an idea any human being has these days is a great idea, there shouldn't be like this expectation. Oh, well, like it better be great. Like who the fuck do any of us think we are? When's the last time anybody had a good idea?
I think it's less of a slight against you and more of a slight against me being excited over like this pretty
Over
border
Beer Evan
baseline
Hansen.
idea and getting super excited about
Okay,
it.
I got you. I was gonna say because that is inadvertently like billing me up to be like, what am I, like Paul McCartney? Like everything I do has to be fucking incredible. That's not the life I lead.
Speaking of fucking incredible, have you ever used Away suitcases?
Kind of.
What does that mean? Oh yeah, that's right, because I got the Away suitcase like
Yeah.
years ago and you didn't. Sorry
yeah,
about that.
They sent.
I used my Away suitcase this past
I think
weekend.
I had one, but somebody
stole
else
it from
used
you.
It.
Yes, that's
that's
right.
the correct answer.
I used an Away suitcase this weekend. I went to Newport / Bristol, Rhode Island. Figured out that I was a big Rhode Island guy. It'd been a while since I'd been to Newport. Packed all my luggage in an Away suitcase. Had a great weekend. Away is a modern lifestyle brand that creates thoughtful products for every traveler and every kind of trip. They started with the perfect suitcase, crafted it with features that make your travel experience more seamless. And they got the charging kit inside the suitcase. They got all these like extra pockets. You can keep your toiletries away from your clothes. They even have I think one of my sneaky favorite part of my away suitcase is that there's like a little zipper
to separate the dirty from the.
They have like the little dirty
most important
bag
thing. In
thing.
laundry. Most important thing in luggage.
Yeah, especially when you're coming back from a trip and you don't want to cross-contaminate your dirty clothes with the clothes that went unworn. You just throw them in that like dirty laundry bag. You don't have to fold them. You just throw it right back in the suitcase. I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. Away suitcases rock. They are probably the only suitcase that I will ever use for the rest of my life because I absolutely love them. All of Away's suitcases are designed to last a lifetime. They have durable exteriors that can withstand the roughest of trips. You know how TSA can be. It's probably not TSA. It's whatever baggage handlers. They can be quite rough. I don't know if you've ever looked out of the window of an airplane and watched the baggage being loaded.
Whip that
Oh
stuff.
boy, it's Tom Brady season down there on the tarmac. It's TSA approved. They got built-in locks on some of their suitcases. They've got 360-degree spinner wheels, which means that there's no hiccups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
They got sprees.
Who else?
They got sprees on the luggage. No one else is doing that.
There's also 100-day trials for everything Away makes, so you can order them, test them out, see if they're to your liking, and if for some reason you aren't satisfied, which you definitely will be, you can return them. So, to start your 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases, at awaytravel.com/brunch. That's awaytravel.com/brunch. awaytravel.com/brunch.
While we're plugging stuff, Vineyard Nights candles, I was told that you don't just say, hey, buy Vineyard Nights candles for like 3 days and then figure, well, anyone who's going to buy them will buy them in the first 3 days. Got to keep promoting them. So that's on me. If you have not yet got Vineyard Nights candles and are considering getting them, they make a great anything. They're good for fall. You know that there's 3 different kinds. So if you think, oh, well, this one might, is it more of a summer thing? Like, no, it's more of a Vineyard Nights thing. Remember, Vineyard Nights was supposed to come out, or at least I wanted it to come out in summer. It ended up coming out in October. So we're not even at the 1-year anniversary. This was a fall EP. Get yourself some Vineyard Nights candles. Everybody has had great things to say about them, including a person who had FedEx damage their candles.
So they really only got like 2 candles, and they're still whatever.
These are
bang.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've got mine. I've used some of mine, and can confirm. Big fan.
Those things burn well. So it's on Velabox. Go to velabox.com. You'll see it right there under collaborations, Vineyard Nights. Get them. We appreciate it.
Have you considered a follow-up to Vineyard Nights?
Like a follow-up what to Vineyard? Like a follow-up, like follow-up music?
EP, like
I've got
Newport Days.
So no. No. I did have an idea shortly after Vineyard Night, but I think it was before Vineyard Nights came out. Actually, I had an idea of making one song, 6 different ways, and it was about every sport. So the chorus would be kick it to the back of the net for soccer, for football it would be I don't know, whatever fits those syllables. For hockey, skate it to the whatever, and it would just be so clear that this was another song that the words were changed to, because I always find it so fascinating. It's inspired by the fact that when you hear a song recorded in another language, they have to match up all these things and fit in these syllables, and it doesn't necessarily make sense, but they're look, the original song fucked us.
Yeah.
We got to get these in there. So I consider doing something like that, but no. I've got some other tunes that I'm in no rush to do anything with, but maybe at some point something else will come. But you can help fund that, because people forget I am not on any sort of record label. You can help fund more music by getting Vineyard Nights candles on Velabox.
If enough people get the candles, you
Yeah.
can start your own record label.
I will tell you, there is one song It's like probably like a year old now. Just fucking bangs. No one's ever heard. Like 3 of my friends have heard it. Agree. It's a fucking insane song. It's fantastic.
Why haven't I
done
heard it?
anything with it? Maybe I'll play for you one day. But it is it's like I never say that I like anything that I do with
That's
anything.
very true.
But
Even
I'm
with
like-
Vineyard Nights, you're
I'm
like, I don't know
think
about this.
song is fucking like I think that like Vineyard Nights 1 is awesome. I think I've grown to like Vineyard Nights 2 and Vineyard Nights 3.
I like
is
that
like
you.
a fun silly thing.
I do like that you had to like grow to like your own music after it was released.
Yeah.
Usually it's like the opposite. You love something, that's why you put it out, and then like a year or two down the road, you're like,
Yeah.
why did I do this? This
John
is-
Mayer had a post about that.
Really?
He posted it's like the 50th anniversary of Room for Squares, and he said like I would have never written. He was like, "There's a song on this album called Your Body Is a Wonderland that I heard a few years after it came out and was like, wow, yikes, John." And I'm so glad that I was young enough and wasn't as in my head that I was in a space that I would write, record, and put out a song called Your Body Is a Wonderland, because that's such a sappy, corny song.
Yeah.
But it's a great song.
It's a great song.
And there is very much a thing, and again, I'm not comparing myself to like the actual professionals here, but like there is absolutely a thing where like your brain doesn't let you do certain things because it thinks that this is too corny, or like me, like I like there's certain types of music that I really love and think is like brilliant music. So if I do something that is a lot more simple than that, it's like, oh well, this,
are you
this
dumbing
sucks.
yourself down?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And I mean, like, not being a musician or anybody who has done anything musically creative in my entire life, I imagine that, like, in the process of making a song, you're listening to it over and over and over again, and you're questioning every little part. And, like,
oh yeah.
at that point, you kind of just, like, I would imagine that you have to give yourself some space from a song
Yeah.
for a little bit, and then go back to it and be like, was I sort of in my head because I'm spending so much time with it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like you'll come up with something, you'll work on it, and at least with me, like I never actually finish writing the song. I'll like come up with like a verse and a chorus, or like I'll come up with 1 or 2 parts of a song, and I'll just like, this is the exact thing you're not supposed to do. I will like quote unquote produce the shit out of it. So I'll like come up with, all right, this is what the melody will be, this is what the drums will be, this is what the bass will be, the guitar, the piano, whatever it'll be, and I'll just like come up with all of the parts, but I won't actually like finish like the song. So I'll be like, so instead of like coming
instead
up
of coming
with,
up
like,
with a
all the words,
concept of
Yeah.
of like a here's what this is going to be,
I'll spend like
you
2
come
hours
up
on
with
a bass line or
here's
something.
what this part is going to be. I'll fill in around it.
Exactly. And then you just end up hating it for that reason, because then you've like heard these parts over and over again, and you've tweaked all these parts, and like then this other part doesn't even have fucking words, and now you're like, well, it's been 4 months and I haven't thought of words here for this, and by then you've fallen in and out of love with it a million times. So it can be maddening. Like the best or the easiest way, it doesn't happen often, is like when you just come up with it and you get it all down and you finish it in like a day. Vineyard Nights 3 is a very simple song, but I literally wrote that in a car ride from like, it was like a 40-minute car ride. I was doing voice memos on my phone, just like, okay, like this is what the lyrics will be, this is what this will be. Like it was very simple, but like because I was able to do that quickly, I was actually able to move forward with that song and then come up with some other parts.
Mm-hmm.
It's when
You get too latched on to like a specific thing on a song. That makes sense.
So buy Vineyard Nights candles. It's velabox.com/Vineyard Nights. We have got a juicy It's Monday and People Are Pissed. There was a tweet over the weekend. I saw it getting quote tweeted left and right. It was by a fella named Dan Clark at Dan Clark Sports, blue check mark and all. And the tweet was, I have always charged $50 to $100 per podcast guest appearance, as I spend at least an hour prepping, followed by a 25 to 30-minute discussion, and I also promote the appearance both pre- and post-recording to help grow their following. This was one of 3 tweets. This was part of a thread he then told the story of somebody asked me to come on their podcast, and I explained this to them, and they told me to fuck off. Like, how nasty is that, or something? That was his thing. But nobody saw the other parts of the tweet because they saw the first tweet that says, I charge $50 to $100 per podcast guest appearance, and everybody quote tweeted that and like dunked on him, said this, like, don't be like this guy. And I don't know about you, I don't, not to name generalize, but I could have seen a Twitter handle that was Dan Clark Sports 100 times in my life, and I would probably forget it because I know a lot of people with like sports at the end of their handle, or named Dan or whatever. Like this, I was like, this could be the most famous sports writer in the world, or this could be somebody I've never heard of. All I know is they are absolutely getting dragged.
Yeah, and it's one of those tweets too that's like, it's easy to look at and be like, yeah, I can understand why people are dragging it, because it's an uncommon practice.
Totally.
It's an uncommon practice, but like me and you had a discussion off the record,
Yeah.
and we were like, there's really no reason why this guy should be getting dragged right now outside of it being an uncommon practice. And I don't think that that's enough of like hey, this is a bad tweet or a bad idea. We had the discussion that like, this is a completely fine thing to do.
I mean, I have said no to a lot of podcasts and radio appearances that if they had paid, I reckon I probably would have said okay to.
Yeah, even like $50.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's a dumb thing, and maybe like we can analyze this some other day, but it's just different. If you're getting paid for it, and especially in our field, if somebody pays you to do something in our stupid field, like, you just automatically say yes, because there's still like the part of you that doesn't totally get how we get paid to do that type of stuff. So like, if it's $50, $100, whatever is, like, if someone's like, hey, can you do a podcast? If I don't know the person, I'm more likely to say yes. So we had that conversation of like, there's nothing like bad that this guy's doing. So, more importantly, it was very funny, the idea of like, okay, let's pay this guy to be on our podcast then, because everybody hates this person for some reason, even though like we didn't know. We'll ask him like, has he done something bad that has everybody being so mean to him? But the idea of everybody saying we hate this guy when he didn't really do anything bad, and us saying, how much?
Right? Yeah.
Name your price.
Yeah, so there was like two reasons why I absolutely wanted to have him on. One, because I think it would be funny if I wanted to give him money.
Yes, we
because
wanted to pay him.
We offered, he politely declined the money, but said that he would come on, which, what a twist.
Yeah.
I wanted to pay him money because I thought it would be funny to do so in the aftermath of that tweet. But I also wanted to have like a legitimate discussion about like where he's coming from, because it's not a preposterous idea to charge for your time.
So let's bring in Dan Clark at Dan Clark Sports. Dan, I believe we are the first podcast you have done since tweeting about your podcast game.
Yeah, it's all a bit of a crazy overreaction, to be honest. I think that I can't put that thought out on Twitter, because you know what the culture's like when they want someone cancelled. So look, I have my views on it. It's nothing new. It's been something I've been doing for probably 9 years now, 8 years. I would only ever charge for someone who would ask me to come on their show to cover a topic that I'm not usually familiar with. So to give you some background, I've usually focused on the Orioles and things happening in the AL East. And as things grew over the years, some people would say, hey, can you come on and talk about the Padres, or can you come on and talk about the Cardinals, or whatever it may be. So usually that would require me to go away, do some research as to how the team's been going, you know, bring some good stats, some good stories, things like that, maybe get some quotes from some players if I can, bring those type of things onto the show, and then help them promote that to those fan bases. So it's usually at least a couple of hours work. And I would always just charge a fee for service. So if it's and that's providing that they're making an income from it as well. You know, if it was I think someone said a story about, oh, would you charge a kid? Of course not. You know, if it's a young kid you're trying to start out in the business, who doesn't make a cent from it, there's obviously I wouldn't accept it if I didn't have the time, or I wouldn't charge him. So I found it quite an amusing overreaction, but that's how the world works.
But kids don't know how the business works, so that actually
Correct.
it might make more sense to charge a kid, because
That's right.
if you ask
They get a
me,
reality check.
yeah, exactly. They'll like acting like they're hot shit with their friends. Hey, I got Dan on my podcast, and it only cost me $300, and they find out like, damn, he generally charges $100. So something to consider going forward. But man, like, you just explained the whole thing, and Pete and I were discussing like, are we missing something? Like, is this, have you done something else? Are you like a bad guy that we don't know about? This was the first time I'd ever heard of you. This tweet, the tweet was, I've always charged $50 to $100 per podcast guest appearance, as I spend at least an hour prepping, followed by 25 to 30-minute discussion. And I also promote the appearance both pre and post recording to help grow their following.
Bam!
All of
1,800 quote tweets.
all of it was quote tweeted with like, get fucked, and like this, like, don't be this man, and all this stuff. And I was like, all right, well, this guy must have done something else. And we were talking about it, and we were like, we think all he said was like, I charge to go on podcasts, and people have the option to say,
Just say no.
hey, okay, no, thank you.
Yeah, it is bizarre. Look, I mean, I always, and you may have seen some recently, I stir the pot with Astros fans around the cheating and ripping
They
the
cheated.
Red Sox. Yeah, they cheated. Exactly.
Both of those teams cheated.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. Okay.
Again, I think I would rip into Padres fans because they've choked and collapsed, and again, they've choked and collapsed. So, look, that's just, I think, being an Australian, and this isn't a dig at Americans, but we have very different cultures in the sense of like pop culture and all that's very, very similar, music, sports, that type of stuff. But our lifestyle and our laid back larrikin, I don't know if you'd have that term in America, but our very laid back culture where I guess we take the piss out of things. Like, is that a term in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once upon a time it was, not anymore.
I love that term. So
But you know what I mean? Like we kind of joke things off, and we love to have a bit of banter and that. And yeah, when I'm covering Australian sports, so Australian rules football and cricket and things like that, people kind of see the humour because that's the audience who's reading it. Sometimes in America, they probably don't see the sarcasm or the banter in it, and sometimes you get some overreaction. So I find it quite amusing.
yeah, I wanted to have you on, and like we said that we wanted to have you on, and we weren't joking, and a lot of people were like, yeah, let's have him on to roast him and shit like that. I think there's legitimately a discussion to be had because
Yeah.
I don't think so it doesn't happen all that often, and I don't hear about people charging for podcast appearances that often, but I also don't think that there's any reason why anybody shouldn't. Like, if that's how they want to run their business, and like people charge money for a lot less than an hour of talking. People charge for cameos. I've seen people do Cameo for 30 seconds and put in very minimal effort and charge a couple $100.
Can I say one thing? Actually, I did read, because I've got a Cameo. I had a Cameo. I don't really use it much now, but I had a guy pay $50 once just for a shout out to his friend who was just got called up to some college basketball tournament. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I did that. This same guy, you should have seen what he was writing 2 days ago around how can he charge $50 for a podcast appearance? I'm like, dude, you literally paid me $50 for a 6-minute chat on Cameo. Like, it is bizarre. It's the inconsistency can be really quite amusing.
We paid, I think we paid $400, $500. You know who Brad Garrett is?
No.
Oh, damn. He is, he plays Robert on a show called Everybody Loves Raymond. It was created by
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Ray
the show,
Romano and
Yep.
Phil.
The big doofy guy. We paid him $400.
Yeah, it was great.
Fuck.
But like, that was our want. That was his
Right.
charge.
Yep.
And I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to get all soapboxy about how horrible people are to each other on Twitter. But like, the thing that we're discussing with you, and the thing that drew so much ire with you, was legitimately a completely inoffensive thing. Like, I understand if you like threw something out there, or you made fun of a player, and maybe you said something inadvertently that you didn't mean, and it's like, okay, you just
Yeah.
got to wear that. You fucked up. This was just like legitimately, hey, this is how I handle going on podcasts.
Yeah, and you didn't say like, hey, everybody should be charging $50 to $100. Like
Yeah.
those, I often get mad at those tweets that like people in the business telling other people how
Yeah,
like
don't do
the-
shit for free. Don't
right, like here's the playbook you should be following. And like
Yeah.
you said what you do, and you also shared an anecdote of like somebody telling you to fuck off after
Exactly.
after they didn't want to pay your fee, which in that scenario, that person doing the podcast is the bad guy here.
Yeah, I mean, I've over the years have had, I think you experience a lot of tweets sometimes that go viral, and certainly sometimes things have been misinterpreted as they do. You may mean one thing and completely misread by someone else. I'm very inclusive in nature, and never say anything offensive in that sense, and I've never had any of those type of cancel issues before. So I do find it funny that the first time some people disagreed was a tweet around that. So it's fascinating.
I mean,
It's,
it is unequivocally funny, the state that we caught you in, though, because when we reached out to you to do the podcast, and I hope that you can have a laugh about it at this point. So
I'm
I
sure I
tweeted
can.
you and I said, hey, any interest in coming on a podcast? We are like, we're totally sincere, and we do have the money. And you DM'd me, got an original joke. Because I'm sure you were just getting all sorts of horrible shit that like
Yeah.
when somebody admits that, says, hey, come on a podcast, you're like, oh my God, like, dude, fuck yourself. Like, I'm drowning
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, and I think when you came back, said no, I'm legit. I thought, oh shit, I'm sorry. Yeah. And look, I've got heaps lined up next week, and it's interesting how that works. And there's been a lot of people who said, hey, would love to have you on. Completely understand, how you operate, and that's really encouraging. But yeah, it was an interesting conversation you guys and I had.
And I mean, like, as somebody who's been sort of on that side of things, where you're like the enemy or like the flavor of the day for people who want to dunk on people on Twitter, I'm sure it was exhausting at that point, because that was yesterday. And what was it? When was the tweet sent?
Like 2 days ago?
It
Saturday?
was I think Sunday here. Yeah.
So-
right.
So you're
Yeah.
probably like on day 2 or 3 of like just checking your Twitter and just
Open
relentless
It's like
dunks
open
and-
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like open it. Nope, still hasn't stopped. Close.
Well, do you have the setting on? I've had the setting on for a long time, and I've missed tweets as a result, and I long ago decided I don't care if I miss tweets. It's healthy
Mhm.
for the fewer tweets we all see, the better. But for, I would say, a few years now, if you don't follow me, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I can. To be honest, my style of engagement with sport in general is talking with fans. I'm a fan myself, like you guys as well. First and foremost, we love sport, and I love engaging with anyone who I can. So if someone will send me a tweet around their opinions on something, and if it's just something I really like, then I always try to engage with them. So I haven't usually done that. I did recently learn that you can protect your tweets. So I did that for about 24, 36 hours, which was bliss. But no, look, I usually try to engage with as many people as I can. But yeah, it was exhausting.
After all this, have you shifted on your stance at all? I mean, I know that you're not charging us.
Yes, you
for this
very
appearance,
nice
Yeah.
of you. You
pro bono.
You will not take our money. Very nice of you.
Yeah, and as I explained to you, just to come on and have a chat, there's no work involved for me to go, dig up some data and dig up some stats and quotes and things like that, see where teams are in the standings. Like, predominantly, that's all it is, charging for your time. And just to come on and have a chat with you guys, it's just a bit of fun and no real work involved. So why would I? Yeah, but I mean, in terms to answer your question, no, I haven't changed my stance and won't.
And-
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honorable. Like there have been times where I've gotten shit on for a take, and I'm like, am I wrong here?
Hmm.
Am I missing something?
Or has Twitter or has like 2 or 3 people decided, okay, we're gonna be mean to Pete, and then 2 or 3 more people see, okay, 3 people are being mean to Pete. This is now the correct opinion. This is now the right thing.
Yeah.
And like people, I think a lot of people most people fancy themselves good people. So there's this thing of like, it's okay for me to be mean to this person about their tweet because I disagree with it and I'm a good person. Therefore, this is a bad person. And it's
Exactly
like,
right.
I don't really like Twitter has given us a lot of like incorrect viewpoints about like how we interact with each other. But I mean, that's very
that there's
basic.
only one appropriate or right way to think about something. Like I think
Yeah.
that's a
There's
a
no
big-
like, oh, I could see why you would charge $50, but I don't charge $50. I'm more trying to do this, and I really just like talking and some things like it is totally possible that you can charge $50 to $100 and be correct. Somebody else can charge $0 or even pay people to have them on podcasts, and it
Yep.
would be correct.
Correct as well.
Novel idea.
Yeah, that's the world we're living in. I think we've seen that with the pandemic. People have their opinions and people want their voices heard, and people feel like they have a role or they're engaged in it somehow by firing off a tweet. They feel like they're suddenly included in the conversation. And that's fine. Everyone should have the right to be included. But again, with so many different views out there, who's to say what's right and wrong? Unless it's blatantly obvious, like the pandemic, and you should get yourself vaccinated
yes.
and all that type of shit. But anyway,
Dude,
yeah.
when you started to go down that, I was like, oh, maybe this is gonna be the thing. Maybe he's like this like huge. He was like, if he was like,
Anti-vaxxer.
I mean, there's so many opinions out there, and I mean, if you're not doing your own research or so, like something like that, I've been like, oh, that's why he kept saying something about research. Oh no.
Do you have a cousin in Trinidad with extra large testicles?
Yeah.
No, but I believe it was an Australian medical health department who called her out on it the first time, and that was a tweet that went viral. So I'm glad we're having an earthquake. Well,
You're
did
having
you
an
see anything
earthquake?
shaking?
What?
Did you?
No.
Can you see?
I heard a dog bark.
There's dogs doing shit. Hang on. Give
Yeah,
me 2
absolutely,
seconds.
absolutely. Go check on
Camera's
you.
stabilization game is dope.
Holy.
Oh, I'm.
Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
Fuck, are you okay? Fucking hell. Just cover Indy, yeah? Fucking hell, that's the biggest one I've ever felt.
Holy.
Fucking hell. I'm in the middle of the fucking podcast right now. You wouldn't believe it. It's literally recording. It's still going. Okay.
This is worth $100.
We're gonna fire this back to you. We're gonna. Holy smokes! Whoa.
Wow.
Fucking hell.
We're gonna be able to send you back video of you reacting to an earthquake in real time. That was
That's
crazy.
gonna be-
It's
Is
still
everything
shaking
okay?
a little bit. Everything's okay. We got a 13-week-old daughter, so
Oh.
I just want to make sure that they're okay. They're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Could you see anything shaking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
once you got up, we saw like the.
It got
the
really quite
camera.
heavy then.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you guys wanted some good content, so
Right.
Oh my god, you
fucking
and
hell.
in your tweet to hype it up, you were like, "Who knows what will happen?"
Oh,
And I
I'm
saw it, and I
fucking-
was like,
And I'll
again,
tell you now, I'm not even kidding. Like, we don't get, we're not like California.
Yeah.
We don't get many earthquakes, but that one's the biggest one I've ever felt.
"Whoa!"
Like, that was really significant. And we're an apartment building, so we're on the top floor, so it's relatively high, and yeah,
It's a
shit
little
was
frightening.
moving. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I feel like
Hey,
there's something at work here.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
so
like-
that's
Yeah.
so like karmic that it's the universe telling us like, who fucking cares that someone that we go on this website and are all terrible to each other for. I
Yeah.
was gonna say like an hour a day, but realistically, like we all probably spend like 8 to 10 hours a day on there. Then there are real things such as
Fuck.
fucking earthquakes.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if you could hear me in the background, but I was just talking to my fiance. I'm like, I'm in the middle of a fucking podcast. It's literally live now. I can't believe that happened.
After
Yeah.
spending 3 days talking about how you will not go on podcasts
Yeah.
unless they charge the fee, you go on a
Yeah.
podcast for free, and
Yes. Yes.
and God is like, shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I'll
So-
send the invoice. I'll send the invoice over shortly. Yeah.
So what
Fuck.
what truly ended up rocking your world? Really, was it the tweet, or was it? I mean, that was literally the room was shaking. That was a
Yeah.
fucking earthquake. That's wild. I mean,
Yeah.
first time for everything. Obviously, way scarier for you. But I've never
Yeah.
been on a Zoom that involved an earthquake before.
Nah.
Yeah,
nah,
you are confirmed the first guest of this podcast that it has ever been mid-earthquake on the show.
Fuck, and hopefully the last. They're not good. I mean, honestly, I was worried then what was going to happen. So anyway, thankfully
Man.
we're okay.
Holy smokes.
I'll find out what the magnitude was, and I'll let everyone know when we
Please.
share this
Please
around.
do.
Well, then you'd have to do some research, and then we might end up getting a
Right.
fee.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
It's
then
true.
we're
I
at
can't do
$100.
that.
At one point when we were DMing, I sent you some information, and you were just probably away from your computer for a little bit, and I was like, "Ooh, he's not responding."
I was
Maybe
probably
he's- may-
sleeping.
Maybe he
'cause of
still
time.
thinks that. Yeah. Like there are a
Yeah.
million reasons that like you wouldn't have responded, but I was like, maybe he still thinks we're fucking with him. So I just sent you $100, just as like so like you knew that we were game. I want to ask you like, if we had asked you to do preparation, if we were like, okay, we're going to charge you or we're going to pay you, give you $100, like we don't talk a lot of baseball. We do sometimes on our podcast. Our favorite
Yep.
thing in baseball is when someone's thinking too. It's a great feeling. It's in the gap. They turn the corner. They're thinking too. It's a great moment. So we could have talked baseball with you, but if we were like, hey, we'd like to have you on. We really like Mamma Mia, those movies. Like, would you have done the research to, if you haven't already seen the movies, like for the money, would you have been like, okay, fine, like I will play
No.
these idiots game?
No, look, I would have politely declined. I would have been just like, hey, it's not a good fit, and that's not uncommon. If it's not a good fit, I know. So there's a few years ago when the Astros got caught cheating and all that, I was very vocal about it and gained some trolls and some haters in Houston about that. I was invited at the time onto some podcasts over there in Houston, and I literally just said, no, it's not a good fit. It's just going to be a roasting session. It's not going to benefit you guys. You might think it's funny for a bit. Certainly not going to benefit me. I'll probably say something I regret. So I just declined.
Oh, dude,
Um,
good on ya.
Yeah,
so
there's like that was a big thing around here for a while
Oh,
in
in
Boston, where, like,
radio.
gotcha radio.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad for like the people that like don't necessarily know what they're signing up for, I guess.
They write a column
Yeah.
and they get like, hey, like we'd love to talk to. I'm a producer for this show. We'd love to have you on, and like that's all fair. There are no lies told there.
Yeah.
But then inevitably, within like 5 minutes, even if initially it was well intentioned,
Yeah.
the conversation just gets so nasty. And I know this because I've been on both sides of this. If you're the home team, if you're the one in studio, you win no matter what. So
Oh, yeah.
if we were to go at you for your tweet, which again we agree with, but if we were like, we want to make it seem like this tweet's dumb, if you were
Yeah.
making the points that in real life we actually agree with, just because we're the people that are like hosting it and putting it out, then
Yep.
it sounds to the listener like we're the smart ones, and it should never
Well,
sound to the listener like we're smart.
And if you decide like fuck this, I'm out, and you like hang up, this isn't worth my time, then you seem soft
Then
and
it's
you
like,
lose.
ooh,
Correct.
they
Yeah.
He
rattled
avoided.
it.
He avoided the conversation. And the other thing you keep in mind is if you're the host, radio show, podcast, whatever it is, it's your following. You've built that loyal following.
That's
So
true.
they're only going to side with you because they've got that loyalty there. So you're right. You're spot on. It can only ever end one way if that occurs. Yeah.
Dude, I just gotta say, you've got some like real good vibes about you that you don't seem to want, because when you were just saying that, you were like, the hosts might think it's funny at the time, but even then, like maybe in a year, 2, 3, they'll realize like, that was mean.
Yeah.
And like, who wants to gather around and be horrible to each other? Like that's what Twitter's for. So man,
and
I
there's
just
so much of
appreciate where
that.
you're coming from.
Thanks, and look, you guys as well. There's so much of that in the world at the moment. More than you guys are probably the same age, similar age to me. More than I've ever experienced. So why contribute to that?
Man.
And you touched on it before. There's some actual serious shit going on in the world. like serious shit. So why get involved in little things?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like we've talked about that before, where like there could be something that like people are spending 4 hours on Twitter that like is not an actual real. It could be something as similar as like the idea of charging for podcasts. And
Yeah.
I'll say to Pete, I'm like, man, that I maybe I'll have an opinion on this, but this can't be my cause.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this cannot be like how my
Yeah.
actual day is spent.
Yeah, and like there's always the flavor of the day on Twitter, which is like the conversation that everybody's pissed about or everybody has like a strong opinion about. And
Yeah.
there's also that tweet, that like famous tweet that's like every single day on Twitter there's a main character. The objective is to not be the main character that day. You ended up being the main character for a
Yeah.
day. But
Yeah,
like
I did.
but like and there's probably some residuals carrying over from that, but in like a week's time nobody's gonna give a shit. So it's like it's tough. Like I appreciate you holding your ground and I appreciate you not moving off your stance because I don't think that you should. And you know, everybody's gonna have their fun for like a day or two and then they'll move on.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what's happened. So it was a wild ride, though. It was definitely eye-opening. So it did, and as you said before, it makes you think, oh, hang on, am I missing something here? Is my view not, correct? But again,
that-
I don't think the full picture was told either. So hopefully, by sharing this, it might be some people will have a bit more context.
Yeah, and that's healthy too. I mean, like if you had put that out, you got all this backlash, and like you reflected upon like, okay, like shit, like did I miss the mark here? And
Yeah.
if you did or you didn't, like there's nothing wrong with being like, oh shit, did I get that wrong? And actually, like I think people that don't check themselves pretty often are can be kind of hypocritical. So like
Yep.
there's nothing wrong with if you see like, oh shit, people don't like this, like shit, is it good or bad? But ultimately, I mean, this was a
There's also nothing wrong with pushback, but I feel like so often on Twitter the pushback is like, fuck this guy. This guy
Yeah.
sucks,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, if you disagree, like explain it. Explain to me what I'm missing and why I'm wrong here. It's just like there's not enough active discussion as opposed to like, let's fucking dunk on this guy because everybody's
Yeah.
doing it.
Well, justify it.
Right.
Like I've justified my reason. You justify why I'm wrong instead of just dunking, as you said. Like it's there's none of that. Well, very minimal of that I saw. Yeah.
So this is the difference between you and me because you are clearly the nicest person on this podcast, and we try to be very nice people. But I feel like if this happened to me, I would like
I
melt
can-
down. I would hate that, like how I would hate how awful people were to me. But then like a week later, I would tweet, just charge $2,000 for a podcast, motherfuckers, just to like see what like just to see everybody lose their minds. Have you
That
considered
would
that?
be.
Have you considered upping
have-
your rate? You're
Could be
hot shit
funny.
right now.
Yeah, could be funny. We we'd get at least 2 retweets out of that tweet if you just blasted that one
Honestly,
off.
I think I don't think I know I considered something smart, like doubling down in the biggest way possible. I thought, nah, not today. Not today.
You should just be like, you're right. $500 or no deal.
Yeah, you should like quote tweet the first mean response and be like, this will be the first and only response I will respond to for free. $300 going forward.
Just screenshot the engagement and be like, going rates going up.
Yeah, just like
Oh,
post.
I actually
Yeah.
had a look at that the other day. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Of
I've
the
had
engagement.
Oh yeah, it was off the charts, and I've been lucky enough over time to have some stuff go viral, and usually people in agreement with it. But this one was just crazy. Yeah, it's something like 30 million the reach, which is just huge for from my tweets anyway.
Yeah, when you accepted the podcast request and you said like, hey, just a heads up, people are being really nasty about this, and
Mhm.
they might give you a hard time, and like just don't get into this if you're not okay with a little like bit of trolls or whatever. So that was when I was like, there has to be more to this. Like this guy, he must have tweeted something bad the day before or whatever. And I saw that I looked at my friends who followed you, and I just asked one of them. I was like, "Hey, what's the story with Dan Clark? Is there something that I don't know? He's going to come on the podcast. I just want to make sure. Like, his
Did he like run over
has
a
he
kitten?
harmed somebody?"
Yeah.
And their response was, "Oh, no idea. I just saw he had that awesome tweet and then followed him because it was like entertaining as hell." I was like, okay, and we're
Well, I
off.
mean, I think it was important for me to say that to you because I mean, you probably would have gained some sort of indication from the tweet as to the reaction and all that. But obviously, I'd seen more, and I wanted to make sure you knew that I didn't want you guys to get any backlash or something like that. I think it was important to make you aware of that. But you're certainly braver than I may have been in that position, so you followed through with it. But
It's
no, it's been pretty good. I actually was surprised there's been no backlash at all.
Listen, we had Darren Rovell on, and we
Yeah.
had a discussion with him about like why the internet hates him all the time. So this
Yep.
is just like this is a snapshot of the internet hating you. We had a guy on who just like that's his
professionally-
persona basically.
who has built wealth off of
Yeah,
the
right.
internet hating.
Annoying people, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there like that, yeah, and a lot of people out there who I agree probably deserve to be dunked on quite a lot. But,
Man.
yeah.
It's just so it's just perfectly fitting though that like you seem like a very nice and thoughtful person, and like what was the internet knew you the other day for like don't tweet this is what's wrong, blah blah blah. And like I don't know if you've seen this is a very specific thing, but if you've seen the sketch show I Think You Should Leave, where there's a thing where they're in a restaurant and there's like a talking like animatronic thing on the wall, and it's arguing with one of the customers and they're being horrible to each other, and the person comes out from behind the wall and apologizes. They have a conversation, and it's like, oh well, like of course, like when everything's covered up and you're behind screens and everything, there's this pressure or expectation that like I've got to get one over on you, or like
Yeah.
I've got to show you why I'm more clever than you. And then once that's all taken away, it's just fucking people's voices and like
Yeah.
an
Exactly
interaction.
right. And I think generally most people are good, and people have
I agree with you.
massively, yeah. And I've seen this, colleagues or friends or whatever it may be, who have completely different views to me on how to. We're in lockdown at the moment here, and we've been in lockdown for nearly 300 days. Like it's fucking crazy here. People are losing their minds. The army's out on the street today. Like it's really bad, and everyone's got different opinions. But at the end of the day, I think most of them are good people. So I'll use an example. One of my friends works in construction, and they've shut down construction completely for a couple of weeks here because that's where the virus was spreading pretty badly. He's lost the plot, in my opinion, in terms of his views on how the pandemic should have been approached, on vaccination, on that risk versus reward. More people could keep the vulnerable inside and safe. Younger people who might not be as vulnerable, let them live their lives. And I have a different view to him, but I'm lucky enough to be working still and not really impacted. He's not working. So if I put myself in his mindset, he's obviously going to be thinking, well, I want to be working. I need an income to support my family. And to achieve that, we shouldn't have a lockdown. So again, you factor someone's livelihood into it, and they have a completely different view. Very good person, but someone might initially think, oh, what type of weird ass view have you got there? That's selfish thinking of yourself ahead of others. But everyone's got their own circumstances. So I think that's really important to consider.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, the idea of having two options for everything is
More than two.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
that seemed wild like before the internet, and
Yeah.
now the internet has like really just locked things into like, okay, there's no shades of gray with absolutely anything, and all it's really led to is just like more angry discourse, and it's just ramped up how often people argue and yell at each other. Like, do you remember like 20 years ago getting in an argument? That was like a thing. That was like an event.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got in an argument the other day. It's like, oh
Yeah.
shit, who'd you get in an argument with? And now like it's like, okay, well, I was arguing with so and so today, and everything is an argument. And I do like
It
in a
is,
lot of
yeah.
ways, I seriously do blame the internet and Twitter.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Oh, absolutely. It's the obvious cause, social media.
Yeah,
No
I mean,
doubt.
it has completely erased any sort of gray area that exists in a lot of conversations. And like with that in mind, did you expect pushback when you tweeted that out? Or were you just
No.
like, I'm going to share a story about somebody that was an asshole to
was
me
sharing
based off of like a reasonable demand?
Exactly right. If anything, I thought a few people might have commented, "Oh, what a jerk that guy was." The guy told me to fuck off. Obviously, not myself, and I was blown away. And it took hours. Like no one really responded for a while. I can't remember who it was first. Like you guys have, I think both of you are verified. You know the little verified tab where you can kind of see
Oh, yeah.
responses from people who are verified as opposed to everyone. It started filling up pretty quick. I'm like, oh dear, here we go.
Yeah, that's usually the way that it goes. It's like it sits around for a little bit and then it gets in the hands of the wrong person and then
Yeah.
spirals from there. Did you hear back from the person who told you to fuck off? Did they like receive any sort of validation?
No, I didn't. only because I blocked them straight away.
Okay.
nice.
So it would have been interesting if they hadn't have been blocked to see if there was a response. But I might go have a look at the timeline just to see if there was a bit of gloating going on.
Yeah, if they were like, aha, I told you.
Told you
Oh,
so.
yeah. I mean that's the cousin of we got them to hang up, right?
Yeah,
Like, oh, they
exactly, yeah.
blocked me. We got them to hang up. Therefore, we win. It's
We
like,
win. Yeah.
so insane. Well, Dan, could not thank you enough for coming on. Like, you're a fucking lovely dude. We're sorry that you had to go through that.
And we're
But-
sorry that we like built on top of it for a brief moment when you were like, yeah, good joke, guys.
That's something original. Yeah.
And mainly, I mean, above all else, and we wanted to say this the whole time, we're sorry that we kept you on a podcast for like 15 more minutes after there was an earthquake, and like
I know.
your family is like probably figuring out like what the hell is going on right now. We appreciate the commitment there, and if anything, like if you're to put together like a little reel or something for like what you're getting when you have Dan Clark on a podcast, dedication, that's what you're getting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, so look, I've really enjoyed the chat, guys, and you're both really cool dudes. And who knows, sometime we'll catch up again and talk. Obviously, you guys are hockey fans.
Yeah.
Actually, just before the pandemic, we caught a game in Boston. I'm a massive Capitals fan. My fiance is a Bruins, massive Bruins fan. So I think we'll be back there soon. So if you guys are around
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
hockey, I'll catch up for a beer or something.
So that was fitting that he's like the nicest person in the world, and like the beginning just like broke my heart that we were like, okay, he starts to explain it, and he's like, well, I do research, and and you just explaining.
Seemed like a little beaten down,
Yeah,
like
but
that he had to keep explaining himself as to why he's charging for his
But
time.
he's explaining something that makes total sense, but because the fun thing to do that day, and look, if we're wrong on this, if there's something we're missing, you definitely let us know. But like, it just seemed like he was the popular person to be horrible to that day.
Yeah, and I guess like I don't know, like I mean, I the fact that it's an uncommon practice and the fact that I think a lot of people are interpreted as being like my time is worth this much money, like you want to talk to me, you got to pay the fee or whatever. Like I can understand like why that might rub people the wrong way and why like some people would say, "Hey, I don't want to do this. No, thank you." But like the fact that the reason he sent that tweet out was because somebody told him to legitimately fuck off
Yeah.
is he's not the bad guy there. And it's not an insane idea to think, hey, if I'm going to do your podcast and like I'm going to bring people in and promote it, then like can you throw me some money to do so, like to take some time out of my day? I don't think that
And
that's
if
absurd.
And if that doesn't work for you, say no.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Again, Cameo exists. Like the fact that people would get mad about this take when Cameo exists
Yeah.
for like a minuscule amount of time. And I don't know how many of Cameos you guys have watched. very, very little effort, very minimal effort on a
Extremely
lot
mailed
of them. Yeah,
Extremely mailed in.
just people just wanting to check for the lowest possible effort. So the fact that people would get mad about that is wild.
Yeah. So shout out that guy. I just loved his thing about like the radio / podcast thing of like having someone on to drag them, and him being like, doesn't benefit anybody. Like, and realistically, it doesn't benefit the person who's like dragging somebody just for the sake of doing it.
He just
I'm
lets them
like,
kill like a
yeah.
half an hour.
Yeah. So shout out Dan.
Shout out Dan, very nice guy
he was great.
who sat through a earthquake to talk to us. So much
Hilarious.
appreciated.
Hilarious. I hope that we transitioned out of the earthquake thing appropriately, because I was like, when it was like 2 minutes after and we were talking about something else, I'm like, there was just an earthquake.
It was just
and-
like a traumatic event in this guy's life.
yeah, he's a trooper, great guy. The Emmys were this past weekend. I saw a good amount of it. I don't think you didn't see any of it.
I didn't see any of it. I was in Newport.
Yeah, I missed.
Not to brag.
No TVs there. Yeah.
No TVs in Newport.
I actually wouldn't be surprised. They Newport is a lot of like old ass hotels and stuff, right?
Yeah, but we stayed in
Wouldn't be
Bristol. We stayed in
surprised.
Bristol, and
Yeah.
like we found a couple bars that were like had outdoor TVs, tiki bar situation,
Oh,
like
awesome.
crushed the Patriots game, and like some college football outdoors, and like 80-degree weather. It was the best.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. We'll get to the Emmys in a second. I gotta tell you about my EPL update. So you know that I have officially kind of picked a team and have done so by purchasing a kit.
Mhm.
I got me a Chelsea jersey. And if that sounds like lame, corporate, whatever, I did it solely because my friends that go to watch soccer like Chelsea. So whatever.
yeah.
And their best, not their best player, but United States' best player, I suppose, Christian Pulisic, is American. So a lot of people like him. So I was like, okay, yeah, this feels right. This feels fine.
It's really not a situation where you like you can't go for like one of the big clubs, because we're here.
Yeah.
And the big clubs are the teams that are most accessible. Like they get the good time slots on
Mhm.
the weekends. They're the ones who are like actually shown on TV. They're the ones that are actually interested in watching as like an outsider. So like there's no shame in picking one of the big clubs like Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. Fuck Liverpool though. So like fine club.
Yeah, and I mean, really, my friends that watch soccer are Chelsea fans. I love the color royal blue. I'm a big royal blue guy, so their jerseys are great. I've had a good relationship with Hyundai throughout my life. Like, there's just a lot of reasons why I like, okay, yeah, I suppose I can do this. But when I've gone to watch soccer with my friends, they're all kitted up, and they're
Mhm.
all wearing their Chelsea kits, and I'm wearing like I remember one time I was wearing a Ween t-shirt, and I felt very conflicted because I was like, I'm an asshole because I'm dressed differently from everybody here, but I'm also like the fucking coolest person here because I'm wearing a Ween shirt. But there have been other times where they're all wearing their kits and I'm just there wearing whatever, and I feel like a real goofball. So I got the kit, and I intentionally showed up a few minutes late. Like the game started at 11:30. Everyone meets at like 11:15, something like that. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get there at like 11.
Where'd you watch it?
In Massachusetts,
Okay, cool. Is
Yeah.
it like a soccer bar?
soccer bar.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My favorite
pretty big
Arsenal
soccer
bar. My favorite Arsenal bar closed down during the pandemic. So
What was
now-
that?
Lear.
Lear. Yeah.
Yeah. So, gotta find a new spot.
You could be a Chelsea fan.
No, I'm not.
Come
No,
to
no.
or,
Mhm,
two
yeah.
places.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
No, like abandoning Arsenal at this point in my life is like, what are you kidding me?
Why?
I've
What are you? How deep are you?
Like 6 or 7 years.
Oh, okay. So that's real.
Yeah.
That's
Like I've
you put
seen
in
some
time.
shit.
Yeah, you put in time. So, anyway, whenever I show
Wait,
up,
but first, did you get, because your big dilemma was, do I get the blue kit or do I get the yellow kit?
yeah, and I wanted the yellow kit. Look up their away jerseys this year. I'm probably gonna get the yellow one at some point.
You're gonna get
Because-
all of them because they change them every year, and like I I would consider myself like a peripheral soccer fan,
Yeah.
but I'm
Do you
a,
get- you
but
get-
I'm a jersey fan,
So you
and they
get it
change
every
it, and I get one every year.
So I was talking to my friend, and he was saying, he was like, yeah, you get it every year.
They're
So I was
cheaper,
like,
though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Like $75, $80, something like that.
so mine was 120. Maybe they knew that I was a noob.
Oh, did you get a player on the back?
That's right.
So it's more money for the player on the back. So like
Okay.
75 or 80 base, and then $40 for a player on the back.
Yeah, I'm gonna get these
Did you get
yellow one.
Pulisic?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they did not have they didn't have the yellow one because they're not selling it until like September or something like that.
Okay.
So I got the blue one, which is great. I mean, it's got the
Great material.
great. Yes, I was like, did I tell you I was feeling the various ones?
You said you were gonna pick your team
Before I pulled the
based-
trigger, because I was like, look, I was at Dick's and they had like a bunch of different jerseys, and like before I was like, okay, this is gonna be it. I was like, just like feeling them, which they're replica jerseys, so that's no
No.
reflection at all on
of
like
the club.
yes.
It wouldn't be anyway. It's a reflection of the manufacturer,
No,
the
no,
outfitter.
Like, oh please, like if the early 2000s, if you're a fan of like the Arizona Cardinals, I'd be like, you know, they charge their players for like hats to wear on the sideline. Like that's the club you're supporting. So,
Did they really do that?
oh yeah, yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
Like the Edgerrin James, I think, signed there, and like they're like, okay, and here's your big contract minus your sweatshirt, and he's like, wait, what?
That's like Moneyball when they charge them for soda in the locker room.
yeah, shit, I believe it was the Cardinals, 'cause I think Edgerrin James had like a, are you kidding me? Like, let's be adults here, experience. So
It's like charging for a podcast appearance.
that's right. I settled on the blue one, whatever. But my excitement was going to be showing up, walking into the bar, all the lads, and what is the
Lasses?
what's a more inclusive term for what's like a lads like group?
Lads.
No, but I'm saying like they would include like women.
Lads
like,
and lasses.
lasses?
Yeah.
Lassie. Okay. So, imagine all the lads and lassies see me walk. Like I was envisioning like the end.
Lads and lassos.
Lads and lassos. There you go. I was envisioning walking in there and it being like the end of a commercial for like psoriasis medication, where like the person
You beat psoriasis.
right, like in the beginning, like they were having like a bad time, or like they were staying home or something, and then like at the end they walk in and like they're all kitted up and everyone's like, oh, and like they're like brushing the I thought it was gonna be
They like had a beer waiting for you, and like they give it
Yeah.
to you as you walk in.
yeah, like holding up the jersey. Like they surprised me, they got me the yellow one, like it was gonna be this huge thing. And it was like the people that are usually there, and only one of them was wearing kit. They were just wearing street clothes.
Really?
Yeah, I felt like such a. And then immediately I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be the only person in this fucking bar wearing a fucking Chelsea jersey. God forbid some Chelsea people come over to me. I don't
Like,
know.
start
a-
asking
a
questions.
fucking
Yeah.
thing. I know two things about Chelsea. I know that they're
The
two good
material's
players.
great.
Yeah, they got solid material. I know that Emily Kaplan is now hosting a Chelsea podcast, which I'm very excited to
Really?
start listening to, so I can maybe learn a little bit more of it. I know two players on them. I know they won the Champions League last year because I watched that, and I know that I've got a podcast that I can listen to
Okay.
about it. But I felt like such a fucking dick, and
Just
I was
a real. Knew I shouldn't have worn this. Wish
I was
wasn't wearing
was
this
the
fucking shirt.
definition of I wish I wasn't wearing this fucking shirt. It wasn't awful. It was fine, but I like
Disappointment.
expectations versus reality. I really wanted that like
And this was like years in the making too. This was like you had like a LeBron James The Decision,
Mhm.
but it took like 2 or 3 years, and like nobody cared.
Yeah. No, then my friends it got like a it's saw you got a jersey.
I care. I'm glad
Yeah.
because I've been just like
Finally on
yeah,
board,
just
waiting.
pick something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Your biological clock is just pounding. So
Speaking of soccer and ridiculous Twitter moments from the weekend,
oh yeah.
how about the Men in Blazers tweet that people got fucking pissed about?
So I didn't even know that was a Men in Blazers guy. But that was another one. Like I looked at that tweet for like 6 minutes, and I looked at the first couple of quote tweets I saw, where the guy basically said, Jason Sudeikis has done like a ton for men's for like the image of like men's football in America. Like
He basically said like
the women win all the
yeah.
time, but like the men don't really do it. But like few men have done anything for football in America.
I think he was basically saying like Jason Sudeikis and Ted Lasso has done more for soccer in America than the U.S. men's national team
right
has.
than like any actual
Yeah.
soccer player. And the first few quote tweets I saw, and I saw that he'd mentioned like men's national team, women's national team. I was like, this could be one of those Twitter moments where like all people need to see is he said men and women, and like people are, and like it's a kind of a crazy take he threw out there, and this will all equal fuck this guy. And like the first few quote tweets I saw were like, get fucked. And I was like, I rarely do like a, hey everyone, chill out on Twitter tweet, because
because then you're throwing yourself
right,
into the
because
fire.
then you're part of
Yeah.
it. But I was like,
There's nothing wrong with this.
Right, like it's kind of a
It's
it-
it's
an
an
extreme
exaggeration.
Take. Yeah, it's an exaggerated take, but like I hope nobody's actually offended by this, like the way that, or like I hope that this isn't actually hurtful the way that like he's getting dragged by it for. But then there were fewer get fuckeds than
Yeah, I think it was
I
mostly
initially
people
saw.
reacting, being like, "You are just like blowing this out of the water.
Yeah.
Like nobody is going to." Which I mean, I see where he's coming from. Like I think that Ted Lasso has opened hearts to soccer a little bit, but it's not gonna like drive it across the goal line.
no.
Like nobody's running to the
To Dick's Sporting Goods to pick out
the
their
chick
fucking
Christian Pulisic jersey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was another funny thing that came from Twitter this weekend.
Lasso cleaned up at the Emmys. I didn't see Hannah Waddingham's speech because that wasn't on Twitter, but all the other speeches were, so I was able to see those.
Really? I that was the only one that did you send it to me? No, I saw that was the only one that I saw on Twitter.
I saw Brett Goldstein's.
No, I saw the only one that I saw from the Emmys was Hannah Waddingham.
Oh, was it good?
Yeah, she was so excited.
I'm sure she was.
She was so excited, and it was like very, very endearing. She seems like the best, and
She's,
also
like-
she looked great.
Yes, she is like the world's favorite person at this point, I would say. Every person I know either has a crush on her or wants to be her. And
Yes.
in the case of like us, probably both.
Yes.
Right? Like she's
A definite crush.
yeah, she's gorgeous, got absolute pipes, just got this like just tall as hell.
Oh yeah.
Just like truly a larger than life person. There are winning smiles, and like winning smiles get their asses kicked by her smile.
Yes.
When she has a smile that'll obliterate you. It won't win. It will fucking like
it will be Man City
Yeah.
against
Everton
no, against
day.
No,
Oh,
against AFC Richmond
AFC Richmond, yeah.
in the semifinal.
Yeah. Also, everyone calm down about the most recent episode of Ted Lasso. It's fine. It was one of the extra episodes. They did 10 episodes. Apple TV needed 2 more, so they did 2 episodes that had nothing to do with anything. One was very pleasant. It was the Christmas episode. We loved it. The other one was this beard one, which was extreme and crazy, and I liked that for what it was. But
Like if you're gonna do an extreme and crazy episode, it might as well be an episode that's just following around Coach Beard,
Yes,
right?
that-
That fits the mold, and
and they
like-
couldn't have it touch the rest of the shit they'd already done, so
Right.
like they were a bit limited.
Yeah, and like it wasn't my favorite episode, and I described it to you as like a cocktail of drugs,
Yeah.
and that's essentially it felt like a fever dream, and whatever. Like it was still fine. Like I'm kind of bummed that we have to wait a week for like a legitimate Ted
Right.
Lasso episode.
People I think were just mad that they didn't get
Like nobody would have thought twice about that had it been like a binge show.
Yeah.
People are just pissed that they have to wait another week.
Yeah. So congratulations to Ted Lasso. They won everything. Brett Goldstein's speech was hilarious. He just got up there and said fuck a bunch of times. Jason Sudeikis is really like compiling some interesting acceptance speeches these days. He obviously famously, I don't know what he won for when he was like high as balls. Was it Ted Lasso?
I think
or
it was
something?
Ted Lasso, yeah.
He was just like super high.
Yeah,
was
and that was
hilarious.
that was the remote Emmy show.
Oh.
So like he was at home, and I think that he was just like really conked out on edibles.
Oh, okay. And this for the Emmys this year, he seemed pretty nervous. He was like kind of, not that there's anything wrong with it, but he was like kind of stumbling over himself, which I think that we're at this point now just used to Jason Sudeikis being Ted Lasso. So I don't know. It was funny to see him go up there and be like, thank you, and shit. Like it was very charming. But Brett Goldstein's speech was amazing. We started watching Hacks because Hacks cleaned up there as well, and I was texting you. I was like, I don't know. Had either of us heard of Hacks?
I had seen it on the HBO Max menu, and that was the extent of what I knew about it. I love Gene Smart. Gene Smart like crushes in just about everything.
Legend.
So I was intrigued, but then like I read the description, and I was like, whatever. Like it's a fucking show about comedians. So how many times are we gonna do this? Like,
yeah. It's like, God, I remember my first The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
The only thing worse than a show about comedians is a show about washed-up comedians.
About bad comedians.
Right, so no thank you. But we started it just to like kind of see what it was about, especially right now after the Emmys. And boy, does that show sink its teeth into you right away.
It's awesome.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, I've only done 2 episodes. You've done more. I forgot to tease the beginning of this episode. This conversation is going to have a fun fact. I don't know if there's like a bell we have to sound or something, but there is going to be a fun fact revealed to you, and I know it's going to be revealed to you because if you knew this fun fact, you would have brought it up immediately when we've been texting about the show, because we have been texting about the show. I'm trying to think of like how to articulate it, but you just want to watch like 4 episodes in a row. The characters are good. All the characters are good.
Mm-hmm. My favorite character, and I told you this today, my favorite character is the agent. The agent that represents both of the main characters. He is just like a delightful mix of an asshole and just like completely helpless against his assistant, which really, really sounds like the ingredients for Ari Gold. But like he is, I would say, like a harmless asshole.
Okay, here comes the fun fact.
Okay.
The agent is played by a man named Paul W. Downs. He wrote and created this show along with Aniello, Lucia Aniello. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Both of these people are hot. They won an award for writing. They got up there, and I texted you. I was like, have you seen Hacks? Their writers the people who wrote it are looking great tonight. And then I was like, this guy's in the show. I looked up who these people are. They are known for, they worked on Broad City, but they also did another project together. They wrote and directed a little film called Rough Night. So if you don't believe in redemption arcs, if you don't fucking believe in redemption arcs, look at what these 2 people did, because they made a really trash movie. Like, I was going to say it brought us no joy to say how much that movie sucked, but we were
brought
like,
us a lot of joy.
How did this movie get made? Like, oh my goodness.
And it brought us a lot of joy because like we somehow ended up pitting it against Girls Trip. Yeah.
I mean, like 2 movies with the same premise were coming out about a month from each other. They both had we saw the trailers for both. One had like a shitload of laughs. The other did not. We were like, geez, which one of these is going to be good?
It did, but thinking back on it now, I think that we called them both bachelorette party movies, and Girls Trip was not a bachelorette party movie.
You're right.
It was just a girls trip.
Yeah, I don't know which one we saw the trailer for first or whatever, but I do know that we just locked into Girls Trip being like, well, this one's way better.
Yeah.
And obviously it was. It brought us Tiffany Haddish, and that's just a hilarious movie. And Rough Night was a bad movie. This guy was in that movie. I don't remember him being in it, but he's great in Hacks, and he and I believe they're partners, like in life. They have made themselves a great show after making a rubbish movie. You love to see it.
Who is the other person? Like who do they play in the show? Because you said both of them are in the show.
No, he's in the show, and I
Oh,
believe
okay. So the other person is not.
yes.
Is it a man or a woman?
So I gotta say a little bit of irony here. Rough Night's Wikipedia page. I believe we refer to Rough Night as my big fat white bachelorette party movie
Yes.
because it looked like, not to be the white person that like calls other shit white, but it just looked like an overwhelmingly white movie. Wikipedia describes Rough Night as a 2017 American black comedy film.
Well, I guess it's black comedy because they kill somebody.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
he's the guy that they kill, right?
Oh, really? Is he the stripper?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, he looks so good.
That's true.
So could be him. But let's see. Lucia Aniello is let's see. Yeah, partners with Paul W. Downs. They co-wrote Rough Night. She directed it. She is an estimated 37 or 38 years old by Wikipedia. It's always weird on Wikipedia when
they
they
just
do that.
don't know the birth.
They just don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know the birthday, just don't say it.
Right.
Just don't guess. It's like she's got to be what, like she's like late 30s.
She's between 32 and 47.
It's like she's married to this person. They both went to the same college, so they probably met at college, right? He's 31, so she's got to be this. But yeah, check out Hacks. I don't know
Would
if we'll
recommend.
circle back to it, but it's
I texted you and you laughed at my take. I don't know if you was just sort of like that's funny or like I disagree, but it's essentially Veep, but
oh
with,
no, I thought
with,
it was a great observation.
with comedy people instead of politics.
Right, a bunch of people like shitting on each other, being mean to each other. A very funny. I laughed out loud at this idea. What ends up making it's about a girl who gets canceled. She's a comedy writer who gets canceled because she has a tweet that isn't well received, and then people look up that like 5 years earlier she had worse tweets. So now she's canceled, and she can't get a job, and she ends up getting the only job offered to her is writing jokes for a washed-up comedian who's played by the great Gene Smart, and they hate each other at first. They're not each other's types of people at all.
And they don't want to work with
They
each
don't
other.
right. They don't want this to happen, and they end up bonding over Gene Smart's character learns of what happened to her and that she got canceled and everything, and she asks what the tweet was that got her canceled, and she says it. And she's like, oh, well, that's just not funny. Like, you should get canceled for being lame. That tweet sucks. And what they end up eventually bonding over is, like, workshopping how this offensive tweet would have been funnier.
Which I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's, like, very, very plausible. That, like,
Yes.
that I'm sure that happens a lot.
Right. So, it's a funny show. I'm into it. I really like I don't know who the actor is who plays the main character, but she's
quite good.
all
The characters are good. The jokes are smart. It's 30 minutes.
Hannah Einbinder.
Super easy to get through.
Yeah, and I mean, man, they were cleaning up on the awards the other night, and I mean, you just keep. I found it weird that like Ted Lasso was gonna win everything because I love Ted Lasso, but I also I don't think it's like the greatest thing in the world.
And it's not the only show on TV. Like,
Right. So I kind of wanted to see the balls spread around a little bit.
It's not a
and-
popularity contest.
Right. So seeing Hacks getting up there got my attention. I just loved that mainly everybody who accepted an award, with the exception of the Lasso people, had to shout out how awesome Gene Smart was, because Mayor of Easttown, Hacks, everyone was going up there being
It's
like,
true.
yo, I won this because Gene Smart's awesome. And I only knew Gene Smart. Like, I didn't watch Designing Women. I only know initially knew Gene Smart from playing Martha Logan on 24.
Okay.
Where she's the first lady, and she suffers from mental illness. It's
Okay.
an interesting character.
Yeah.
She finds out that her husband kills David Palmer. It's a whole thing.
I knew Jean Smart from season 2 of Fargo, where she
Ah.
plays like she's the matriarch of the crime family, and she was fantastic in that.
Awesome. So check us out Friday. We're going to be, I really don't know what we're going to do with Malignant. And I know it's not a good sales pitch for the Patreon on Friday, but it's going to be good. And next week, oh my gosh, just please be prepared.